Welcome to episode 35 of the Necronama.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Spooky's Swirls in Chandler, Arizona. Spooky Swirls is a horror-themed, gluten-free bakery with actual screen-used props on site that you can enjoy while you're there. Working directly with the Horror and Sci-Fi Props Preservation Association, Spooky Swirls will continuously change out the display of props on site so that there's almost always something new to see. In addition, the pastries they offer also change, so there's always something new to try. And don't let gluten-free scare you off, because I guarantee you're going to find something at Spooky Swirls that you like so much, you're never going to question gluten-free again. So if you find yourself anywhere near Phoenix, Arizona, head on down to Chandler. It's well worth the drive to hit up Spooky Swirls. They're doing gluten-free so good, it's scary. I am James Sabata, horror author, screenwriter, co-host of the podcast you're listening to right now, and Jason Voorhees is probably pretty close to my god.
And I am Don Guillory, author, historian, educator, and I'm pretty up there with Jason. I don't really consider too many of the other horror, I guess, stable villains or whatever you want to call them as being on the same level as him. Maybe Chucky. Chucky's close.
That's interesting. Huh. You know, as long as we're on that note really fast, I want to say that I feel like every single one of them, I like the idea more than the execution, right? Like, I think Freddy, the idea is fucking terrifying. Jason, same thing. Jason, I like the execution more, so he's always my favorite. Execution playing multiple meanings here. But I noticed today, I was thinking about Jason, and that really got to me, that I've always liked the idea of these killers more than the actual what ends up on screen. Today's Friday the 13th, and we're talking Friday the 13th. And Don, you have something happening on Friday the 13th?
Yeah, I guess my first thriller suspense novella is out on Kindle and paperback. It is Bastards of the Bayou. It's not a traditional horror. I'm not going to do any of my dark stuff until later. And hopefully the darker stuff that I do, some people like. If you don't like it, sorry. But it's a story that takes place outside of New Orleans, and I don't know how to describe it without giving anything away, but it involves a lot of lies and a lot of things, taboos that people aren't willing to talk about, and the uncovering of some mysteries within their own families and in community.
Nice. Sounds great. Maybe I'll read it one day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some relatives are going to come to me and say, like, who told you this story? And I'm going to say, sorry.
Joining us today is James Azrael from the Horror and Sci-Fi Prop Preservation Association, as well as my personal favorite bakery, the place I've lived since July, Spooky Swirls in Chandler, Arizona. James, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
You know, you guys have helped us since the beginning. Spookies has consistently pushed our podcast and tried to force people to listen to it, and I greatly appreciate it. But really, man, the place, like, it just holds such a special place in my heart. It's such a great thing. The food is awesome. The props are amazing. But what I really, really love most about Spookies is the way that it provided a place for the horror community in the Phoenix area. Like, the horror community here is really cool, really bonded, you know, and the place opened and we were all like, everybody has to go here, you know. And I can walk in any Saturday and run into like 4 people that I know, and it's so fucking fantastic. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, man. You know, you guys have been very supportive of us since we started as well, so appreciate that.
Yes, definitely. So tell me about yourself and the Preservation Association and Spookies, whatever you want to tell us. Like,
Ooh, I mean, we could fill up a lot of time here.
Excellent. That's what we're shooting for. No.
Well, I'm gonna try and give you the more summarized version of things. So, hi, I'm James Azrael. I run the HSPPA, Horror and Sci-Fi Prop Preservation Association. We are a traveling museum of screen-used movie props. And that kind of started from my own collection, where I had people, workers, and this is a hard, because I always you think I'd have this planned out by now, but I always stumble because I don't want to mention the business name.
It's all good.
But they came to my house to install a television and internet service. And they were at my house for about 7 hours and kept calling in texts. And that was because I kept giving tours of the stuff in my house. And I'm an old road dog, so the thing I know is touring. I know, like, going out and doing stuff. So I decided to just throw stuff into the old band trailer and started going to conventions. And then it exploded real quick once people saw what was going on. We became a nonprofit, an actual nonprofit, and now we travel the country. We've got I've got Craig Champion out in the East Coast that runs things out there, and Chris Zlowski, Chef Chris at Spookies, was to be and is, but was to be the Southwest head coordinator of HSPPA, so that we could start doing shows out there. And when I went out there for Mad Monster out in Phoenix in 2018, and that was to be Chris's first show and whatnot, and when I got there, she and Lola had made these Jason cupcakes for me and the other guys that were helping out with the show, and they were just so amazing. They were just incredible. And my entire drive home to Chicago from Phoenix, I had nothing but time on my hands to think, and I just kind of put it together. Like, they want a bakery, I want a museum, and I just kind of put it together, and presented it to them, and they were on board. And we brought in our fourth partner, Ernesto Avina, who is also part of the HSPPA. So that's kind of how it all just meshes together, that we formed the business, and then we opened the doors. We basically opened the doors of Spooky Swirls a year after that day that they gave me the cupcakes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and then Spooky Swirls, it's a gluten-free bakery with a museum of screen-used movie props inside.
And I'll be the first to say, like, I'm not a gluten-free person. Like, that immediately makes me normally go, I don't know,
Exactly. And I was the same way. Like, my only experience with it was like cardboard. You had like a cracker that tasted like a wad of chewy dry paper. Right. So, yeah.
I drive so far to get to Spooky Swirls all the time. Like, I don't live anywhere near it.
Me either,
True. You win this round. But no.
But you're there more than I am.
It's literally my favorite bakery. I'm not just saying that. Like, anybody that knows me knows I can't shut up about this place. So it's great. So for me, it was like, I remember this very clearly because my in-laws were here. And it was July 3rd, I see the first Facebook post that one of my friends was like, hey, this place opened and you should check it out. And I was like, I'm going tomorrow, man, because it was already closed for the day, right? July 4th, I'm like there when it opens, and I've just never stopped going back. I really feel like I live there. So I tell people I've been there from the beginning, but I really missed it by a day.
It's okay. No. It's okay. You're forgiven.
No, man. Like, really, anybody who's in the area, even if you're not going to get any desserts, although you should. Like,
I dare you not to once you smell.
Oh, you can't walk in there. I'm trying to trick them. You can't walk in and not get anything. I'm trying to set them up to make them think you can, but I know the truth. But as much as I'd like to keep talking sweets and treats all day, we should probably jump into this film. So, James, why don't you get us started talking about Friday the 13th, the reboot?
I'm going to start this off for you guys with a debate, I guess.
Sweet.
Or
right.
Divisiveness, because I don't like calling this a reboot.
And you shouldn't, because that's not how it's officially listed. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. It's
listed as a sequel because you can pay less residuals for sequels than for reboots. So it is officially a sequel.
Okay.
So if you ever get into this conversation with people, you can beat them down with this.
That's an interesting thing. Wow. Well, I say it's not a remake or a reboot because it's outside of just that very beginning couple minutes. It's not the first movie.
I argued that it can't be a reboot because those first, what is it, like a minute and a half, whatever?
Yeah.
Requires you to have prior knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's not a reboot. We can't start at zero if you have to know stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I do like the way that they started with this movie as far as showing the mother, going off on the camp counselors and killing them. And then it's the friends that all decide, hey, we're going to go looking for some weed. And, the other ones that just think they're going out to hang out and, camp or whatever they're going to do. And they run into it. And I have this thing where when I see the movie The Departed, I always go like, holy shit, that's a long time to get to the title of the movie. They have this whole background. And then I after watching this one again, I was like, holy shit, they went almost a third of the movie without going to the title shot.
It's 23 minutes and 12 seconds. I wrote it down.
Not that you were counting.
No. I looked at it, I was like, I had the same reaction. I paused it, so I was around 23 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I think this one beat The Departed with an even longer opening, or a longer, I guess open before the title shot. And I like that they do that because, yeah, you almost end that argument about it being a reboot or even a sequel, even though it's listed as one, by having the backstory built into the movie, but it's really just giving you glimpses of the other movies or other pieces of those movies or the story itself that's canon, and how Jason gets to be himself without having to get in this whole discussion of, hey, there was this kid who drowned because the camp counselors weren't paying attention to him and his mom went around killing everybody. There's like a 5-second thing in the movie, or in this movie, where they have that discussion, and it's not something that gets dwelled upon. It's like, oh yeah, I heard that at this camp, this mom killed all these counselors, and then it just goes from there. There's no more reference.
The way you describe that, all that's going through my head is, my parents are dead. They killed my parents in an alley.
I love that his friends basically boo him as soon as he's like, well, my friend said. Yeah. They're like, we're your only friends, dipshit. I've often held this theory that Jason is the angel of death.
Oh, right? My God. Me too.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I do.
So why don't you explain it then? Because I do it at every panel, and I'm sick of doing it.
Are you really? Wow, yeah.
I'm not sick of it. I love this.
He's not sick of doing it. He's not sick of doing it.
I just want to point out that another name for the angel of death is Azrael.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So not like I've looked into this at all, Samael. So yeah, I've always thought that, especially about Jason, just because he kills the sinners. Yep. I really can't think of where he's just gone off and killed somebody. Occasionally, I think there's been someone that was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you're just collateral damage at that point. But
right,
yeah, I mean, it's always been the sinner that he went after.
No, Don's heard me say this, but I went to Catholic school, which is why I'm so fucked up. And there was this priest that would always jump my ass for liking Jason. It confused me so badly. I was like, but he's upset about the same shit you're upset about. Hmm? Are you just mad that you can't kill teenagers? Is that what's going on here? And ever since then, I've been so fascinated by this.
To be fair, as a middle-aged adult now, I am jealous that I just can't kill teenagers.
Or
that's
30-year-olds
all three of
playing
us at this moment.
teenagers.
Also,
That's
to
all
be
three of
fair,
us.
I don't think there are any actual teenagers in these movies.
Never.
Outside of, I think it was part 7 with all the kids.
Corey Feldman's like the closest they ever came. And we all know how I feel about Corey Feldman. So I was really paying attention this time. I was like writing down people's sins right before they died.
Oh, nice.
And it totally checks out.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite sin that gets somebody killed in this is listening to Sister Christian. I mean, that's amazing. That's all right, terrible joke, but I couldn't resist. And in fairness, I like that song for some odd reason. But
it's a wonderful song.
I thought it was such a weird choice, though. Like, out of anything they could have put in this movie, I was like, Sister Christian, really? Like,
Well, it was
okay.
probably cheaper than something
Right.
else. When was this? 2008 it would have been shot, so.
yeah. And so they're out there. We got this group of kids, and they're looking for the weed that's growing nearby that they're going to harvest and apparently become like trillionaires from this batch. From the way that they talk,
man.
I'm just
Okay.
gonna relax all day because that's what rich people do. And I'm like, you're a stoner. That's what they all like. What are you talking about?
So I very vividly remember the very first time I saw this opening night in the theater. My first reaction when Wade first finds the pot and a spoiler alert dies. Was that this was Jason's weed.
Yes.
And this whole movie is about Jason protecting his stash. Yeah.
Oh my god, this is the best retcon I've ever heard.
It was my immediate thought was like, well, I mean, he's what? Yeah, I mean, if you just walked into the field in Bogota or whatever, you're gonna get a machete through the face too.
Yeah, I think we were at a panel one time, and I said that aspect of, the 2009 version of Friday the 13th is don't fuck with Jason's weed.
Yeah.
Bro.
Puff, puff, pass,
This is
Yeah.
why Jason hasn't been killing for a while. He's been feeling pretty good. Now you
Right?
touched his weeds. Now he's angry. Way to go.
I mean, and it all fits, like where he lives. It's all decked out like, Survivor dude in the woods, and with with his escape tunnels and traps and whack job neighbors. That
His neighbor's fantastic. His neighbor's selling for him, so that's good.
right?
Well, what's
yeah,
cool about this is
even
that you
talks
see all
about
those different
blocks.
parts. Yeah.
It's like what I forget what he said too. Now when I'm thinking about it, when he first runs into Supernatural guy.
Oh yeah, like you almost jump started like a kick whoop ass machine or something like that.
Yeah. And the boss isn't going to be happy out here trying to take his weed,
And he gives the boss a name, but we never see this boss. So you might be
we
onto
see
something.
him. We see him. and then when I can't think of his name, the redneck.
Yeah, I did not write his name down.
Well, whatever his name is, remember when he meets his demise is when he stole the bud.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So he steals some weed and that dude bites it as well. So you might be onto something with this. I'm kind of thinking I got to go rewatch this whole thing with this theory now.
Yeah, like the archangel of "Don't steal my weed, bitch."
Right?
But I mean, he still holds that whole sinner thing, because if you still think about it, people are trying to steal, which would be a sin.
And then they're all having premarital sex. But my question to that is it premarital sex if you're not planning on getting married?
Oh,
I don't know.
Mr. Gray line here.
Then it's
Jason's apparently
non-marital
pretty
sex.
pissed off about it.
Yeah, I think it's still premarital. I think the bigger question is if you're married and you're having sex with another person, is it premarital?
I gotta say, like, in my head, this is one of my favorite Jason stories. Okay. And when I was rewatching it today, I was totally into it. Like, I was loving it. I know Don doesn't feel the same, and he's gonna fight back on that. Where do you fall on this? Do you think it's one of the better ones or one of the not so greats? Or what?
I do. I absolutely do. It. It's absolutely one of the best acted, one of the best paced, and Derek is just amazing as Jason. He's so dominating, so powerful. I want to say some of the people that disliked it weren't fond of his power, his just like human power, his ability to run and I guess build electric,
right?
Which is a little like odd, like this kid lived in the woods all these years. How did he learn how to do this? But then you ask yourself, why am I questioning Friday the 13th movie?
Right.
Well, and I was even like, he's an amazing shot with a bow and arrow. But then I was like, well, I mean, he went to summer camp. Maybe they taught him.
Before he drowned.
I mean, you need to add with his one eye.
Right?
Through mask. But yeah, I mean, he's a survivalist, which is like a really different concept of Jason. At this point, 2009, roughly 20 years at that point, Jason had been supernatural. Mm-hmm. And he's not supernatural as far as I got in this one. He's more of that original, like part 4 powerhouse human monster.
Well, I mean, the end might say supernatural a little bit. But we'll get there.
I don't know, James. But here's the thing. I don't dislike this movie because I think this Jason and the kills that he has are outstanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
What killed me was the actor portrayals in this, and I think it was just there were several characters where it just took too long for them to get killed. I think that's really what it was. I think that's
you could have killed Trent like a half an hour sooner, and I would have been happy.
Yeah, because everything with Trent, he is, and I know I made this reference on one of the other episodes, but he's basically another version of Zach Morris. And as an adult, when you're a kid, you're like, oh, Zach Morris is cool, or Peter Venkman is cool, or all these characters that when you become an adult, you're like, this guy was a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
And I'm putting myself in that mindset of being a teenager. Like, first off, if this guy's like, hey, let's go up to my camp, go up to my parents' cabin by the lake, and I already know you're an asshole, I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm not going to get in the Escalade and ride off with you for this nice weekend in the woods.
Yes, you are.
No.
100%. Did you see the girls with this guy? You are going to this party.
Yeah. No, I get annoyed really easily by guys like that. So just seeing him, I'm thinking like, okay, well, all these people went. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, you got what was this? Not Trent. You got Lawrence and
Chewie.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Was it?
So I'm going to back you up 1 second. So
okay,
mark where you are in that thought.
Okay.
I don't believe these are teenagers. If they are, they're late teenagers.
Right.
These were college students. I think they were, which is kind of different than most of the other Friday the 13th, outside of like counselors when they actually had them.
I think you can tell that instantly because they can drink more than 6 beers.
Well, but this was the frat mentality, and that's where this bond comes from. That, and if you listen to people like Chewie talk, they did not like Trent.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
They were clearly using him to, for whatever, for his booze, his bud, his money, and to spend a weekend. I don't know her name. The last one that Trent cheats on.
Oh God, Whitney or what?
Yeah. Ford. I know her real name, Willa Ford's character. Oh no, not Willa Ford.
Chelsea.
No, not Willa Ford. Willa Ford was the one that
Bree,
the one that was shooting the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
One with the great lines from Trent, like, "You've got great nipple placement."
This was stupendous.
Yeah, but so I think that was kind of the point with Trent, was that he was such overly douchey, and I don't know, like, keeping him alive so long, you're rooting for him to die.
And I love the way he gets killed. It's outstanding, because it's not just the machete. It's, oh, here I am, super strong Jason. I'm going to throw you on the back of this tow truck onto the hitch, and almost, well, basically crucify you, because that's the placement he has when he's placed on there. And the tow truck driver's like, well, I guess I gotta get the fuck out of here, and starts driving off with the body still attached to his truck,
swinging.
Which was awesome, because it wasn't, oh shit, what did you just do to my truck? It was kind of like, oh, fuck it, Jason, why you did this again?
Really fast, while we're already talking about that scene, what I love most about this scene isn't even the kill. I love this kill. This is a great kill. But what I love is the tow truck driver pulls up and you can't see him. And then his little hand comes out and he kind of like waves, but he doesn't say anything. And they do such a good job of making you go, is Jason driving the truck?
I seriously
thought that would be
that.
Fucking amazing if Jason's driving the truck.
Yeah.
and I started thinking about it, and I was like, this is something I want to see at some point when we finally work out ownership and get a new Friday the 13th. Like, I want to see Jason like as a fucking Uber driver, or like Cash Cab, like all the lights come on and Jason just like turns around and looks at you, and then all hell breaks loose. I want to see some fucking crazy ass shit like that. And I love the tension of, they don't overly sell it as, is it Jason? But they give you just enough doubt. And it's such a great misdirection, because then when Jason's finally there, it's just great,
Yeah.
And then we get this awesome kill. So let me ask you, overall, like, what is your favorite Jason kill? It doesn't have to be this film. It can be any of them. You're the guest. We'll let you go first.
Okay, it's Jason X. It's the
Thank you.
It's the freeze water. What the hell is it?
Yes.
I can't think.
Liquid nitrogen.
Liquid nitrogen. Yeah, it's the
Pops
liquid
his
nitrogen
chick's head
kill.
in it, and then just smashes her face. Love it.
When I saw that on screen that first time, you've never seen anything like that before. It's just amazing, yeah.
And it's so well done. It holds up.
Yeah, and that whole movie has probably the greatest kills of all the Friday 13th.
It has my favorite as well. But Don, you can go next.
Oh yeah, my favorite by far. I mean, this one, the one of Trent, is probably a close second. But my favorite is the sleeping bag against the tree. That one. Yeah. That one just goes, because it's one of those things that you honestly think, well, he doesn't have to stab everybody with a machete. He doesn't have to have all these tricks. There are moments where he squeezes somebody's head and crushes it. There are all these things that require, the visual.
Yeah.
But just the idea that he picks somebody up while they're in their sleeping bag and slams them against a tree. Even as a kid, I was laughing my ass off at that scene, because of how comical it was, but also how scary it was. Because if you've ever been in a sleeping bag, and if you've been in the military or just camping or whatever you're doing, like, that's the most vulnerable place for you, because if you're in that sleeping bag, you can't just get out. You can't get out quickly.
Well, it plays on the inner child of you, that you're safe in bed.
Yep.
And sleeping bag is that. So when you zip it up, I mean, the monsters can't get you.
Right. Yeah, the theory is you're safe. You're totally in there.
Which makes you wrong.
Yeah, you can't
in your choice, because Jason X brings back the sleeping bag and
that's mine
with two.
Yes, all three of my favorite Jason kills are sleeping bag kills.
Yeah, well, and then the 2009 one as well, but yeah.
Yeah, no, all three of mine. So number 3's in 2009. It's when Amanda's hanging there in the sleeping bag and gets burned. I love that. My second favorite kill is the one Don was just talking about. And my favorite kill overall is Jason X, the 2 sleeping bags. He literally takes somebody who's in one sleeping bag and uses them to beat someone else in a sleeping bag to death. And I didn't know until this conversation right now that I'm apparently obsessed with sleeping bag kills. Like, what a weird thing to find out about myself. But yes, the sleeping bag kills and the liquid nitrogen we were talking about. Jason X has my favorite fucking kills. I love everything about that movie, and I argue with people all the time over whether it's a good Jason movie.
Well, here's the crazy thing about this movie, and this might be a reason why some people didn't like it. It's not just, Jason's super strength, which makes sense given the size of his body. I mean, this
when he goes super shredder.
Yeah, but if you look at power lifters or even with pro wrestlers like the Braun Strowman, yeah, as big as that guy is, he better be fucking strong. But the brain power of Jason, he's smart in other films, but I think in this one he's so much smarter that there's that moment where you don't realize it. You don't fully realize how smart he is or appreciate how smart he is with that first portion of the film until Lawrence is, sitting outside with an axe in his back, and then the brother was like, "We can't go out there; it's a trap." He's using your friend as bait, and then you start to think back, holy shit!
Yeah.
He set up all these traps not just to protect himself, but to fuck with anybody else that if you were coming in as a group. So I'm gonna hang this girl up in her sleeping bag. Over this fire, her boyfriend comes back, trips over, gets his leg caught in a bear trap, and he has to watch her die.
Yeah.
Think about how smart and sadistic this guy is, where it basically comes down to, you shouldn't have fucked with my weed, man.
Well,
Yeah.
and what's weird about that is he uses Amanda as bait to get Richie, and then he uses Richie as bait to get Whitney.
Yes.
So how do
Jason
you
is
guys,
smart.
Absolutely. How do you guys feel about fast Jason versus slow Jason? Like, do you have a preference?
Well, technically they're all fast because they're always there.
True.
We just don't see them run. It was, we only really saw them run when Derek started running.
Well, at least he's not Michael Myers, just, oh, he's there. And now he's slowly moving. And he's over here.
Which adds to the supernatural thing. I not to get into Michael Myers, but the Tyler Mane Michael Myers, him hiding behind the tree that's half the size of him was always amusing. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm okay with it because it fits. Like, why couldn't he? If all these people that are living on the land and doing whatever, it's not like they've got a walker,
So my theory on it is
he has to catch deer by hand,
right? Break their necks instead of using his bow and arrow. But no, like I'm a huge Kane Hodder Jason fan. Kane's my favorite Jason. I love how much he can express without ever giving a word and not really having any facial expressions other than his eyes, obviously. But like his deep breathing that he did and how he walks, like I love everything about Kane's Jason. With that said, the reboot needed an upgrade, and the running makes him so much more terrifying.
It does.
The way he comes busting out to chop Richie's fucking head open is just great.
Yeah. Yeah, and that machete too. That thing's like a freaking broadsword.
I know. When Whitney picks it up at the end, it's like I don't know, 4/5 of her body.
Yeah, it's like at the beginning when the girl lops off Mom's head.
Yep.
I never noticed that until the other day that was the same machete, and it's just Like it's the size of her.
I do think
But-
the
but
first
you need
kill was
that.
lame.
Uh,
When he kills Wade?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I
I
wanted
it was a
something.
throwback kill.
You think so? Is that what it
well,
was?
I think it was a
didn't-
throwback kill.
they didn't really show a whole lot. It was dark.
Right.
It was only illuminated by the glow stick, and we weren't really supposed to see a whole bunch. So I think
And I think, maybe that's
Yeah.
what did it for me. Like, I was expecting a spectacle. I was expecting Jason's back, motherfuckers, like, which you get in a little bit. But,
you feel it.
Wade, I was just like, this poor guy was just pissing, and then he got his ear cut off, and now he's dead.
Well, no, he wasn't just pissing.
I know.
He was fondling the buds. but
And
then-
listening to
which
Sister
buzz?
Christian.
But later, when Richie goes looking for him and finds like the headphones with blood on them and just dangling,
Right.
I mean, that's I think where that kill really is effective. But
Maybe I'd like it better if they hadn't shown it. Like, if you just saw Jason pop up and then we don't see it until Richie gets there, maybe it would have been more effective for me. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm not
Well,
perfect.
Here was a cool thing, and this goes back to the cinematic release. Is the movies themselves, or movie theaters, the movie company itself had, I guess, the instructions where all the lights had to be out in the theater. So the only thing that was still left on were, the emergency lights, but all the other lights that they typically dim for the movie theater completely out. And I remember the theater manager or somebody coming in and giving, instructions to the audience and saying, we are going to turn the lights out when the movie starts. It is a very dark movie. It is, giving all these explanations as to why it has to be dark. And not one of these things of, hey, somebody complained that they couldn't see this, so we turned lights out. It was instructions from the movie from the movie company, the production company, that's how it needed to be shown. And seeing in the movie theater, especially that part with Wade when he gets hit, there were people who jumped because it was that classic hit, but because it was so dark and all you got to see was kind of the gleam from the machete, and you got to see him get that quick hit. There were people who were like, "Holy shit!" I was expecting him to turn around and be behind him, and he turns around and he comes face to face with him, and boom, he gets hit with a machete. But yeah, it worked that way because even when I was rewatching it, I made sure as much light as possible wasn't in the room when I was watching, so I could kind of get that feel again. So I think the one thing that's missing with a lot of horror movies, especially like the slasher style, is that audience. I guess that bulk audience reaction, or at least that massive audience reaction that you kind of need with movies like this. And I think that would have made this movie even better. Rewatching it by myself, I could make more critical comments about people like Trent and everything that's going on. But I think seeing it with a big group of people definitely puts you back in that 80s vibe of when we watched those slasher movies and people, talked back to the screen or got really freaked out at the smallest thing, or you had that distraction like with the truck driver, the tow truck driver. So I think because we're rewatching it, a lot of that gets taken away.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think we're also slightly desensitized to what we're getting in our movies.
Right.
Where it's not as much jumping and that scare aspect as much as, and in particular in the groups of people laughing. That's what I'm noticing anyway, is that more people cheer and laugh at the insanity of it, maybe.
Right.
Versus that getting that scare aspect. But we really haven't had much slasher in the theater either, so.
True. Huh. So, I want to ask you guys, we start out with this one group and they all get slaughtered in 20 minutes except Whitney. Whitney's our final girl, and we're 20 minutes in, and now we get the opening title, Friday the 13th. And we don't know that Whitney survived at this point. I mean, we know movies, so we assume she did because they didn't show it. But it's a pretty good fake out. Like, Jason's running at her super fast. The machete's coming down. She could easily be dead, right? And then we just go to this whole other group. And I don't know about you guys, but I love this. I think this is so effective. It was such a great way, in my opinion, to play on our expectations, because it is a slasher and we're going to follow tropes. But to just slap us with this, haha, I already killed everybody. I love it. I thought that was great.
Well, it immediately pop up with is it Jason Jensen? Or is Jensen the other supernatural guy?
I don't know.
Padalecki?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Whichever supernatural guy. I'm blanking now. Did it start with the group or did it start with him handing out the flyers?
It started with the group, and they stop at the gas station, and he's in there when they go get their snacks and stuff.
And then Trent realizes what a complete asshole this guy is.
Yeah. Looking for his sister, man. The nerve of this bastard.
Look, I get that your sister might be dead. Can you get the fuck out of the way? I need these M&Ms.
Right? I mean, the green ones anyway.
I'm only feeding green ones to these girls. I gotta buy these. Let's go.
They're the horny ones, right? That's right. That's how that works.
That's right.
Science.
Everybody knows that.
Science, man.
Maybe that was his sin. He was eating green M&Ms. But yeah, no, I love this interaction. I think this is a great way to build characters. Like, we get our stereotypes, but they're not as, a lot of times they're totally forced on us. And I like that it gave a way to have reasons for the stereotypes. Like, she feels bad, so she's the good girl, and he's being a dick for no reason. And this guy's just trying to find his sister. So, you assume he's a good guy, and a lot of slashers don't take that time. They just jam it down your throat instead. And at the same time, it doesn't feel overly long,
No.
I really like how this is set up.
It's good writing. One of the things that they did in this one over, I think, any of the others is actually develop the characters to the point where we gave a crap about certain ones of them or knew, at least had our own viewer character relationship. We hate Trump. We hate the fact that we even know the names is something. In the past movies, most of it is about Jason. And I think Don said it earlier. His beef with it is that they didn't start killing quick enough. Is that it?
Well, it was just for him. Some of the stuff they did was just so annoying, and I think that's just the whole idea of being in adulthood and having been around teenagers and college students. That at a certain point you're kind of like, I want you to die. Stop making me wait for this.
Well, and that kind of goes with what I'm saying is that they developed it to the point where you have that feeling.
Right.
The past Friday movies, it was just about lining up teenagers for Jason to kill.
Well, yeah, I mean, we actually care about Lawrence and Chewie.
Yeah.
Like, when the fuck do we ever care about these side characters who are just there for humor? Like, we don't care about their deaths. And instead, Chewie has to go out to the tool shed, and we're all like, no, Chewie, don't go. And then Lawrence, we're all like cheering as he's putting up a fucking fight, But normally we don't care about this shit. Like, normally we're like, you're going to die. Awesome.
And I don't know about you, man, but I felt it when he was yelling for help.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But they couldn't go.
What I just noticed as we're saying this is that they give us both, because that first 20 minutes gives us the opposite of that.
Right.
Like, we get that great scene where
Richie.
Jason's stabbing up through the floor and taking out Mike,
Yes.
right? But none of you knew Mike's name a second ago.
No.
And you know, that's a great kill as well. He's chopping up his leg, Mike's screaming, he gets pulled into the floor. You know, everything about that is fantastic. And that's exactly what it was. It was the normal trope all given to us in 20 minutes. And then this side gives us the characterization instead. And while we still go that way, it's a way stronger movie because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just reminded me of my second favorite kill in this movie.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
That was Willa Ford's death at the dock when she's hiding underneath the dock.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just standing on top of her. She thinks she's safe. And then all of a sudden, the machete just comes through the slats right into the top of her head and pulls her out of the water with the... Yeah.
I love how it pulls her up and holds her there for a second. And then, like,
well...
Because that makes sense. If you're pulling the machete back out, it would pull her up, you know, if you're as strong as Jason, obviously. And then as he keeps going, like, the head would be stuck, and then it would fall into the water.
And if your machete is 4 feet long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're, you know, a male at all, you also really enjoyed this scene.
Right. Well, it gave a reason for the gratuitous boob shot. So, you know, you have to fill your check boxes. But yeah. So you were saying, sorry, I broke off there for another kill.
No, that's great. I'm looking at my notes here. What's with this locket? This locket annoys the shit out of me.
Well, it's his mom's locket, wasn't it?
I think so. I think that's what I'm supposed to take from it.
Didn't it fall off her when she got decapitated at the beginning?
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I missed that. I'll go back and watch that.
Oh, James.
I don't care about this opening part. This is a reboot. I don't even know who this lady is. What is happening? Who's this crazy chick going around slaughtering people? Taking their lockets and putting them in boxes somewhere.
Mommy Voorhees.
You know, going back to Willa Ford's death, I was reading that wasn't the original death she was going to get. And I'm so glad they went with this instead. Because, you know, she gets hit by her boyfriend on the boat.
Yeah.
Which, number one, she takes a hell of a hit from this boat. And then she's just like, still here, man. You know? But that was originally the kill. She gets hit by the boat, and then she just like flounders in the water while she's watching Jason stare at her until she can't stay afloat anymore and she drowns.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And I'm like, that's a terrible kill. That would be one of my least favorites ever. Because, like, what did he plan this? He shot that arrow so perfectly, he knew the guy would fall onto the steering wheel and cause this? No. You know? Like, what a terrible kill that would be.
Yeah.
And instead we get this great kill, so I'm glad that they changed that.
And it kind of makes you think that that's the way it's going when it hits her.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Which kind of upset me.
I was expecting the outboard motor to catch her the first time I saw this. Like, she's going to get hit. She's going to get hit with a boat. You know, she's going to get directed towards the middle of the boat. The motor hits, you know, basically blends up her face.
I mean, I would have accepted that. And that's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Better than drowning.
Yes.
Although, if she's staring at Jason, not knowing that Jason is, you know, Jason, thinking like, you know, because she's dying at that point with hope that this person's going to save her. That's kind of a dick move, too. You know.
I don't know that I would assume somebody dressed that way was there to save me.
Well, you know.
Plus, he's holding the bow. You know,
the odds are pretty slim.
They're slim, but remember, you just got hit by a boat.
True, and she doesn't even know her boyfriend's dead because she's still yelling for him to stop.
Yeah. Which is a dick move too. I mean, he wouldn't
right? Stop. What a terrible guy.
I know. It wasn't even supposed to be in the boat. He promised Trent.
Yeah, see, if he would have listened to Trent, then none of this would have happened. Trent tried to save us all.
None of it. As we keep talking, I'm remembering other kills, and now I can't think who this happens to. Who does he stab with the deer antlers? Was that the sheriff? He slammed somebody onto the deer antlers.
He slams Bree onto it.
That's okay. Yeah.
I was thinking it was him or Donnie, but I remember he used the machete on Donnie, the redneck guy, the whoop ass.
Oh, man, you know how I said that we don't know if Whitney's dead or alive, even though we assume because we know how movies work? The part where you would know instantly is when Clay's going door to door, and that old lady's like, she's like, your sister ain't missing, she's dead. And I'm like, yeah, she's definitely alive then.
Right.
But I love how that lady's like, outsiders come and they don't know where to walk. We just want to be left alone, and so does he. And I think that's...
You're all doomed.
Yeah. The almighty, the old person we have to have in every one of these movies who is the one telling you all to get the fuck out of there and nobody listens. And now I love that, she clearly knows what happens up here. So the locals must all know. And...
Well, yeah. I mean, the people that live next to a stash house, crack house, they know what's going on.
Right.
But you can't do anything about it because,
But I just love how she's like,
snitches.
Like from her point of view,
snitches.
She's like, well, I don't go out there and touch his weeds, so I don't have anything to worry about, you stupid fucks.
She probably leave some food out for him.
Like
Jason with his juice box.
I guarantee you, if you have a situation like that, they leave leftovers out for him. Like, Jason, I have some extra lasagna in case you want some.
Oh my God, I'm picturing the like, was it Woody Woodpecker cartoons where they put the apple pie on the sill?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
Jason!
somebody out there needs to make this cartoon for us. Jason floating up in the air, following the smell, the scent of fresh baked pies and lasagna.
With little hearts around his head.
No, hearts on the hockey mask eyes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Speaking of the hockey mask.
Have you seen my hockey mask?
No. Do you really have one?
I do. I've done some weird Jason cosplays.
I want to see that.
I'll dig it up for you. It's one I started off with Santa Voorhees. If you saw the Spooky Swirls Christmas card, you saw Santa Voorhees.
Huh. I don't know if I saw that.
We were giving them away all through December.
I was busy, all right.
Wow.
Gosh.
It's currently still up on the cover image of the HSPPA page.
Nice. I'll check it out. I also have a weird Jason mask. I have one with Darth Maul's paint on it.
Nice.
And then I had Kane Hodder sign one side and Ray Park sign the other side.
Oh, that's pretty wild, man. What the Santa Voorhees, I started with that, and it's a themed, Christmas hockey mask with like gold glitter on it and red and green chevrons and stuff. My buddy Tim Schultz made them, and from there we started like getting this fun idea. This was back in the time like Beanie Babies were still pretty huge, and my sister had a whole bunch of them. I'm like, every holiday she's putting out holiday specific Beanie Babies. There was nothing for the horror person, so we decided to make these things called Holiday Hawks. And just for me, just me and him just made it. And so I have one for all the major holidays. So there's one that I changed my cover image on my page to these. So the St. Patrick's one will be posted very shortly here. But the cosplays of them, I did the Santa Voorhees, but then I did Valentine Voorhees, where I had a complete pink work outfit. Like we bought a white, whatever that company is that makes. This is how much I know about work, right? Like painters' clothing, and then we dyed it all pink and I have wings. I've got little Cupid wings on, and my Valentine Voorhees mask, which is pink and heart chevrons, and I had an axe, a white axe with I think little hearts on them. So yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's great. I'm gonna find some of these and post them on our website so that people can check them out, or our Facebook group rather.
There's a whole folder on my personal page called
Yes.
Ox. Yeah.
Sweet. Now I just keep picturing Jim Gaffigan going Holiday Hawk, but I don't know if you ever saw that commercial, but
No.
Anyway, be glad. Oh man.
Sorry I derailed you again.
No. It's good.
There's no derailment here.
No, not at all. So we have this tripwire where we find out Whitney's alive because the tripwire rings a little bell. And this is the one scene in this movie that I don't like. I don't like when Jason.
For you too?
Like when Jason comes down and he like throws the backpack to her and all that shit.
Just the whole thing, as far as like there's an alarm that's set up, and my question is the alarm for Jason or for her, because she knows what it means?
I think it's for Jason.
Yeah, but it just seems like a weird thing that she would hear that and then start yelling. And I guess she understands that I guess Jason wouldn't set the alarm off. But it for me it just seemed weird. But yeah, with the bringing supplies and backpack and all that shit to her, it was just like, if you really think she's your sister, then why the fuck are you tying her up and all this? Like, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And out of anything he could bring her, he brings her brother's backpack, which has "Have you seen Whitney" flyers in it. You know, and the GPS. Like, he doesn't even take anything out. He doesn't like go through it and make sure, hey, there's no gun in here or anything like that.
Right.
He's just like, here, have a backpack. Why? What is she supposed to do with a backpack? None of this makes sense to me. And then she somehow immediately knows that if she takes this GPS apart, she can get a little tiny piece out of it, and she can try to get her way out of her handcuffs.
She turns into MacGyver. Like,
at which point Jason goes, this was a bad idea, and he runs at her. Like, none of this scene makes any fucking sense to me.
They're just plot points. Why you got to question things, man? It's how you wind up dead in these movies.
That's right. I wish.
Yeah.
I want to be the first to go. Let's speed this up.
It's taking too long. I don't want to run.
You know, the good thing that the first to go always has is they don't have to live in fear. It's like a 3-second thing, you know? Like, oh shit, I'm dead. So.
But you have no resolution. You have no idea what else is going on.
But yeah, this whole scene is very, very fucking strange to me. And I don't know what happened here. For a movie that works so hard to make the rest work, I don't understand how this happened. But all right, so let's go to this. Well, first, let me back up a little bit. You know, when Clay comes to the house and what's her name, Jenna, decides she's going with him. Am I the only one who thinks it's a little weird that Trent, this extremely controlling asshole, doesn't immediately follow them out the door? He instead is just like, oh, okay, I guess she left with the new guy. Like, he doesn't care that his girlfriend's gone. He doesn't care.
I think he was planning on doing Bree for a while. That was his opportunity.
I guess, but I don't know. It's weird to me because there's still a lot of time that passes. You know, they're playing fill your shoe with alcohol and drink the coronavirus, and they're and I don't know what else they're doing. But there's a lot of time that passes before he nails Bree. Like, if that was the plan, like, I don't know, I would have been like, sweet, she's outside, let's go.
He's not closing the deal, as the kids say.
Is that what they say?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to him.
The kids, but he did.
No. I mean, as far as like he's taking
did.
forever to like make his move, and because even was it Lawrence or Chewie? There was like that moment where they were having that discussion. Lawrence and Chewie were having that discussion about like, man, just go talk to her. And it seemed at that moment that Chewie's confidence was a lot higher than Trent's confidence, despite all the money and the looks and all that other stuff. Chewie's kind of like, all right, I guess I'll try. Whereas Trent, it seems like he's taking forever to even, I don't even want to say proposition Bree, but at least, get things going.
Well, maybe he was like, if I don't make the move, I'm not responsible. Like if she does it, well, then, I mean, what was I supposed to do? Have you seen her?
I think it was probably just more. He was probably more worried about his parents' furniture and all that other shit.
Yeah.
What a weird thing. Let me bring a bunch of my drunk frat buddies up to this house and then, be worried about the furniture the whole time.
I never had parties in high school and whatnot, just because I didn't want anybody to mess with stuff.
Yeah.
My parents are mine, I'm like, I don't want your
I threw a lot of parties, but I always did it at other people's houses. Like I'd be like, hey man, can I have a party at your place? Like I'll get these people there.
That's what we did, but
oh, you crazy guys who had friends growing up.
Oh, I'm sure you have one now.
Mom paid for them, but
whatever works.
Yeah. I sent you those mask pictures.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love the when Chewie finally makes his move. I love how unnecessary this is, but it's such a cool moment where they light his drink on fire, effectively burning off the alcohol. Like that's somehow going to save his life when his blood alcohol level's an 8.9 at this point. But they burn it off and he like walks over and then she's like, take the shot, and like they blow on it together. And then he goes to take and he burns his fucking lips and he falls over. Like it's such a crazy buildup for the weirdest payoff. And I love this moment. Like this moment entertains the shit out of me. Like even when I was watching it again today, I was just like, oh shit, here we go. I love this part, and I'm just waiting for him to burn his lips because it's so weird. It's such a strange thing to add to a slasher for no reason.
It's an odd focus on the film. Well, in fact, both of you guys have odd focuses on the film right there, between Trent's inability to make a move and the.
That's what we do, man. We break down the weird shit. Like, why are they doing these things? We're gonna change the title of the show to "What the fuck were they thinking?" No.
Do you guys know offhand what the difference was between the theatrical and the uncut?
I don't.
I don't either.
I didn't even look for the uncut one.
That's the only one I have. It's there's a theatrical release of it too. So I'm wondering what the difference is. Hey, if you know what the difference is, comment below.
Or just comment on anything for once. That'd be great. It'd be awesome to get feedback for once.
Yeah.
And you can just type, James, shut up. At least that'd be something. But aim it at me, not our guest. All right.
Yes. Wait. No, you're swell.
So then, Chewie destroys this chair, and then he's like, I can fix it, man. Because you should definitely trust your friend that's inhaled all of the alcohol in this small town.
Yeah, and trust him with the glue to inhale next.
Like, who in their right mind? This can wait till tomorrow when you're sober, okay? Like, if you're really going to work on this chair and I'm sending you to the tool shed to get power tools, we're waiting till tomorrow, all right? I don't know what he's thinking. He's just like, yeah, Chewie, go, And maybe it's that he can get Bree alone, but I figure he can do that no matter what. But, this so odd. And then they go into Chewie goes into the tool shed, and it's gigantic, because why wouldn't it be? I think he makes a comment like some people's houses are this big or something.
Yeah.
And he's like finding shit that nobody's ever used, like a pair of goggles. And I love that they take the time. He's like, "You've never even used this, you asshole."
Skis, yeah. Well, that sets up their true feelings of Trent, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And but what was Chewie's sin? Like, was it the drinking too much? Is that why he has to die?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was the drugs. It was the weed.
Oh, he does do weed too, doesn't he? I was thinking only Lawrence did.
He brings a special bong named Louise.
I know, right?
The fine point you make.
and to be fair, he in the shed steals the special whiskey.
Oh
yes.
yeah. That's actually where I wrote down that he has a blood alcohol level of 8.9 now that I think about it, because I was like, yeah, let's add to that. That's what you need. I was like, how's this kid still standing?
And he broke the chair. I mean, technically.
It was a nice chair, apparently.
Expensive.
That's what I hear.
Been in the family for generations. It was, yeah.
All right, I found an answer to your question, James.
Oh.
With respect to the theatrical cut. Oh, yeah. It's actually pretty fascinating. Some of the stuff has to do with lighting, but some of the other things have to do with story. So in the uncut version, there's a little bit more gratuitous sex, obviously. There's a little bit more blood. But the really cool things have to deal with Jason. Like, Jason sees his mom killed, sees her locket fall on the ground, picks up the locket and the machete and walks off as the kid walks off while, during these flashbacks. So it's clear that he's the one that found all this shit. I mean, saw it take place and took the machete and took the locket back to his hidey hole or wherever he was going to end up living his life.
Yeah.
I'm already mad that I didn't see this version.
That might be why you didn't understand what the locket was about.
Continue. Is there any other big differences?
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just a lot more violence, a lot more blood. Like, you actually have Chewie lying on the floor when he's dead.
Yeah.
A couple of times when, oh gosh, Richie and the girl are hooking up or about to hook up. Like, she actually takes baby oil and rubs it all over her body while he's trying to get rid of Wade. So it kind of extends the sexiness that's going on there. And
I
actually,
don't ever remember any of that not being in it, which is crazy.
And of course, Bree and Trent are having sex a lot more. And you can actually see him carrying away Whitney behind them when they're having sex.
Huh.
Holy shit. I want to see this version now. Yeah, there's and even when Clay and Jenna are running, they go past the whirlpool that has Lawrence's body in it. And the water has turned completely red from all of the blood leaving his body. But a lot of it just comes down to, I guess it would have just been censored stuff from the movies or from the theatrical release, just to make sure they maintain that R rating and didn't get hit with an NC-17 at the time.
Yeah.
I'm just extremely glad that they were able to leave a redneck feeling up a mannequin talking about how he lost his V card to her.
Hell yeah.
It's good they didn't have to cut that.
I forgot about that. That is such a great scene.
There you are. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck did you think she went?
Yeah, you're a dirty girl, aren't you?
Yeah. This probably isn't a good time to mention. I have, 75 or 80 mannequins in my house.
That's a great time to mention that.
You have a reason to have them. This guy was doing them for doing it.
Hey, he had a reason.
Whatever, he was doing something. Phrasing.
And I kind of picture this guy just standing in front of the mannequin for like 10 minutes going, "You want to buy weed? Hey,
I'm talking to you.
you want to buy weed?
$50 in the hand.
Oh, you want to pay a different way?
Hey, and don't forget, it's killer weed.
Oh. I see what you did
weed.
there. I see what you did.
Say that. That's great. Man. So at some point, Jason attacks the house where these supposed teenage-like people are.
Right.
I love the shot where he's standing on the roof, like just hanging out. I think that's such a badass shot. There's just like no reason for it, but like I just like picture like Jason's gone Fabio over here, you know, like, his little strands of hair blowing in the wind behind his mask, and
Wait, isn't that after he threw what's his name out of the car?
yeah.
Well, he's admiring his work.
True.
You know?
I don't know. It's just such a great shot.
It is. It really is. There's a lot of great shots of him in that movie, including when he takes off his well, not when he takes off, but when we see his face.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing, like through the mirror of how he's checking out how he looks in the hockey mask, and
even the shot on the tow truck, like when he watches the tow truck just drive away and then he's just standing there in the moonlight. That's another great shot. They had some really good shots of Jason in this.
It's like he's appreciating his handiwork. It's kind of like, yeah, I fucking did that.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta enjoy the little things.
Right?
Live, laugh, love.
He doesn't have a camera. He has to embrace this moment while it's there. He doesn't get another chance.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't have cameras because cameras are evidence, you know, and the government's watching you, so. And they steal your soul if you take a picture.
Ooh, that'd be bad for him. I do like that they killed the cop.
I'm just going with the survivalist aspect of tinfoil hats and no cameras.
I love that this movie has a reason the police officer didn't show up. A lot of slashers, cops just never come. Like, either it's revealed like, oh, the killer never called them, or like whatever else, you know. They have a great reason for the cop to not show up because he's fucking dead.
Right. He did show up. He just died.
And then they all try to leave the house. You know, the old cliche of get out of the house. Well, they get out of the house, and that doesn't work out for him.
Am I misremembering this? Didn't he shove a poker through his face through the door?
He shoved something through, and it was really because I was looking at it while it was dark. I can't remember if it was the poker or the machete, because I know he uses a screwdriver on Chewie.
Yeah,
and I can't remember what he used on the sheriff or the police chief or whatever it was, but it was a sharp object. He was punctured.
Yeah.
I think it was a poker. Yeah,
I think so too, because I'm pretty sure it's still in him.
Right.
Whereas the machete wouldn't be, obviously.
Which is an interesting thing. We brought this up a few times here, but hadn't hit upon it. Or maybe we did, but not fully. I didn't anyway. Jason's known for using a machete, but he really uses a machete very little outside of Freddy vs. Jason.
That's true. But yeah, that's what everybody thinks about as soon as they think about him. And even if you go back to like Kevin Bacon, like he's not using machetes at that point, you know?
He's not even in it.
A fine point you make.
Yeah, James.
But
he's using his mommy.
Yeah, right.
I have editing power.
She uses the machete though at the end of it.
But if you think about like all of our favorite kills, nobody talks about a machete, right?
Yeah.
It's always how creative he is. And that's actually always been my problem with Michael Myers. I find the knife boring. I'm like, do something else.
Right.
He has.
He has, but not as much.
Yeah.
He's not as creative about it. Jason definitely seems to enjoy his work.
Halloween 2, he scalds the girl, much like the liquid nitrogen, with her flesh coming off and stuff, which is interesting to point out. Not that we're talking about Halloween 2, that his hand is dunked in that, and he doesn't lose any flesh.
Huh. I never noticed that.
To add to the Jason vengeful angel of death,
Mm-hmm.
he's also a virgin, so he's pure.
That's fantastic.
And if you think about it, most of these slashers are too.
Wow.
Freddy, I think, would be the only one, but is he really a slasher, or is he?
He would be considered a slasher.
Supernatural dream demon. But Michael, at least the original Leatherface appeared to be, because he was the kid, when he.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing. All these guys were kids when they went their. So I really noticed it in like Halloween too, because Michael is very creepy in that he's watching everybody do their stuff, and he's like he lets that nurse suck on his fingers very sexually for a while before he shoves her face into the boiling water.
As one should.
Right. Something to think about. And I just think if they had just been laid, none of this would have happened.
I mean, so basically what we're saying is that they're incels. So.
Hey, you just degraded, the greatest slashers of all time by having them affiliated with those individuals.
That's what I do. Yeah.
So, I think the most amazing death in this, not cool wise, but just like plot wise, is when Jenna dies.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jenna is so built to make you think that she's the final girl. Everything about her screams final girl trope.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then ha ha ha. Too bad.
And she goes out too, like very unexpectedly. That was a very huge surprise. It's
fast, it's clean, it's so good. And it just instantly changes the dynamic. And I even though I knew it was coming, it's still great, Like I remember the first time I saw it when she died, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I love how they just toyed with that expectation, and they did it so perfectly. Like it's just a great fucking plot kill.
I had actually forgotten that she died. I was thinking she was the final girl in this, and that was Whitney that took it. And that was I think I was only thinking that because she now stars on The Flash and has a name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like I retconned it in my head that she survived.
Well, I mean, the story is built to make you think that, so it'd be really easy to remember it that way. Like, but yeah, I think that's just a beautiful, beautiful twist. It's great. So then it's down to Clay and Whitney versus Jason. Right. And we go back into Redneck Boys. What is that? Is that a wood chipper? Is that what it is?
I don't think it was a wood chipper.
I have no idea what this machine does. Do you guys know?
No, I thought it was a wood chipper the first time I watched it, but this time I got to pay more attention to it. And I'm thinking maybe it was a thresher.
Yeah, that's what I think it might have been. Was like,
what is a thresher? Fill me in.
Wait, you're from Nebraska and Iowa area. You don't know what a thresher is?
Let's just save my Nebraska friends some time and explain to you how I ran the fuck away from there and moved to a big city.
I might be thinking of the wrong piece of equipment, as I'm from Chicago and not from the farmlands. But I believe the thresher is the or am I thinking of an aerator thing that just digs into the ground and puts holes in it?
Oh, you're thinking of an auger.
Yeah. No, because an auger is a single hand thing, isn't it?
Yes. Well, no. You need two hands for an auger.
Right, but not that thing was giant. That wasn't a handheld.
This was this was definitely a thresher, and basically you put grain and wheat into it, and it just separates all that shit out.
Okay, I just typed it into Google and a fucking shark came up. So followed by a submarine from 1963. So I'm kind of giving up on Google here, and I'll just listen to you.
Huh.
So yeah, it's a giant piece of farm equipment.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. With sharp, pointy things and yeah.
So Jason gets confused by lockets. He doesn't care if you look anything like the person that's supposed to be wearing it, as long as you have the locket. Well, sure, but I'm just saying, like, she's not even kind of in the right vicinity here. Like,
yeah, but that's the same in all the movies. Like when what's her face put on the sweater.
Yeah.
Part 2. You know, she didn't look like Mama.
Do I smell
I
like
love that this is a continuing trend. I love that this is a continuing trend because we make Jason so smart throughout this film, and then he's like, lock it. And then
it's his squirrel. That's all it is. It's his squirrel.
Yeah.
And, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
He's a mama's boy, you know. It's heavy, man.
At least if he was angry, I would get it. Like if he was going to get the locket back. But yeah.
Doesn't he though do that too?
Well, but I mean that's not why he's immediately.
He breaks out of it and then snatches it from her.
I guess. I don't know. That's not how it feels to me. It feels like he's distracted by this locket and like he's supposed to believe that that's his mom for a half a second while Clay wraps the chain around his neck. I don't know. It's very strange. But I like that.
He hasn't worked through his grieving.
There's no camp counselors. That's his problem.
It's not your place to judge, man. Let him do it on his own time.
Yeah, he has to process it himself.
But I like this scene. I like when they throw the chain into the extremely large farm equipment. And, you know, it like starts pulling him up and basically hanging him. And I like that they don't try to run. They're like, let's watch this.
Right.
Well, I mean, and that's, you know, props to them because most don't. And then then
he would have been free. And, yeah. It would have ended very differently if they left this barn.
However, they didn't remove his head.
Right.
Exactly.
So they did make a mistake. They turned their back at some point.
So then, you know, we end up with this little fight scene and they get him into the extremely large farm equipment and it slices at like the top of his hairline or something up there. And we're supposed to believe that Jason's dead. They haul his body out to the lake. They throw him back into the Lazarus.
I have a major problem with.
You don't like that they throw him back into the Lazarus pit so that he can come back to life?
No, even because they wouldn't know the lore behind it. It's kind of like, well, we got to hide a fucking body. I looked at it as, one, how are the two of you carrying his body or transporting his body by any means for that matter? Because even if they were to get a wheelbarrow, they're going to have to lift him to put him into a wheelbarrow.
They have other large farm equipment.
It's one of those things where I'm like, well, one, why throw him in the water in the first place? You didn't do anything wrong. Why are you hiding the body? And then,
the only thing that can get them off from the murder of everyone else.
Yeah, you've got all these dead people around, and all of a sudden it's like, no, it was some guy with a hockey mask. I swear.
No, but I don't understand why they do this other than for the shot. Like it's a cool cinematic shot of the mask at the bottom, right?
Right.
But outside of that, it serves no fucking purpose. And if you did know the lore, then that would be the last place I would put him.
Right. You know.
Very strange.
Unless maybe, what if he had transferred bodies? Now hear me out. What if he had transferred bodies into Clay?
Okay.
And he convinced Whitney that this is what they got to do with the body, and this is going to resurrect his body so that he can go on killing again. Throwing a little Jason Goes to Hell in there.
He immediately transfers back as he breaks through the dock and takes her out?
Yes!
Sweet. I find this final jump...
Is it like Gremlins, like you have to activate him but with water? Is that what's going on now?
Yeah.
That's how he multiplies, because he's not having sex.
It's a Lazarus pit, like you said.
No, I don't like this final jump scare. I don't like Jason popping up and grabbing her. I think if you had just honed in on that mask underwater with the Jason sound to it, like, I think that's a way more solid ending.
That's how Jason X ended.
Yeah, but it's just a better ending to me. Like, it's so weird that he's immediately just back and wearing the mask again.
Yeah, but that's it's fan service. That's what people wanted.
I know. I don't like it. Fuck the fans. That's what I'm saying. No.
Spoken like a real fan.
Exactly.
Fuck my favorite thing ever.
Look, I think it's an even better ending, besides just having the mask down there in the water and just going to dark, is having a post-credit scene where Trent's parents show up at the cabin and just like, what the fuck happened to my house? They see Trent's dead body like on the way. I'm like, that son of a bitch.
It better not have damaged my house. Oh, that's horrible. That's awesome.
Like, there's all these dead bodies around here, and you think Trent and his friends could have cleaned up before they died.
Right? Dicks. No one thinks about anybody else.
And then the dad is like, ooh, weed. And then Jason shows up right behind him.
I don't know. Maybe they go last house on the left, and the parents are like on a mission to kill Jason now. So check out our baby.
This luxurious house is obviously amongst this area that Jason navigates. How does Trent not know anything about this? If every other local knows.
I don't know, maybe he just doesn't come up to that place, that cabin that often, or maybe, just fucking with Jason's weed in the previous month pissed him off to where, old Marge, who's giving him the lasagna and pies, he warned her and said, I swear to God, if anybody fucks with my weed again, I'm going to kill everybody in this town. And then she settles him down by giving him a lollipop or some ice cream or something.
I am picturing Jason sitting at her breakfast nook.
Just out the window.
Just angry. Touch my weed again. Swear to God, I'm going to kill them all. Just Jason talking in general is weird.
What if you had a voice you didn't expect? Like,
that's what I'm trying to
Steve
imagine.
Buscemi.
Like the voice of a prepubescent, gravelly nerd.
Yeah, we need a Steve Smith mashup with.
Yeah.
You touched my stuff.
I'm just out here in the woods growing all this weed. You guys ruined it.
Would probably get into it. He was in a few horror movies, wasn't he? Critters and.
Yeah, Scott, the guy who plays Steve Smith, Scott Grimes.
Scott Grimes, yeah.
He'd be great at this.
What was that other movie you said he was in?
Critters 2, I think it was.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah.
Like the original ones, right? Not like those remakes.
There's remakes?
Yeah, there were like it was like Critters. I think there were like some remakes to Critters.
I don't know of any remakes to Critters. You're not talking about that piece of shit that came out a couple months ago, are you?
That might be it. Where not an official one, but something where it was
a new binge.
Is this Critters Attack?
No, Critters Attack was the new one.
Yeah, it came out this summer.
It's just horrible. They,
Okay.
I mean, it's a bad movie, but they CGI'd the critters. There's like,
Really? It's not puppets.
yeah, and it's horrible CGI on top of it.
So, I mean, I think that about wraps up everything from my notes. Do you guys, your notes are shot too, right?
Spent.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I
So,
touched on everything I had written down. I can't believe I actually took notes and stuff. I was preparing for this, man.
there you go. We love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for starting my favorite bakery and having a hand in that.
Thank you for having a hand in keeping us open.
And I've told James to make sure that I get taken there when I come back to town. So
I'm pretty sure I own stock options by now.
Right?
But, why don't you tell everybody again where to find you online, or how to come to Spookies, or get involved with your other projects or whatever else?
I mean, Facebook is always the easiest way, I think, to get anywhere now. So that's on Facebook. It's Spookies Swirls. There's an S in there. Spookies Swirls. And the HSPPA. Both ways you can find everything.
Very cool.
Same with Instagram. It's the same words and everything. So we got everything up there with events. We're doing various things. We're going to be at Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Yes, we'll be there as well.
Yeah. So and that'll be we'll have a display with some props and probably some giveaway items, but I'm letting the cat out of the bag too early on that.
Excellent.
Yeah. We'll be at Mad Monster again. So Chandler, just outside of Phoenix, is where Spookies is, and we hope you come in and enjoy the ambiance, because we play movies and cartoons and serve incredibly good ooey gooey spooky buns.
And, you know, one of the things that I also think is really great that I forgot to mention is I take my 5-year-old there all the time. You guys have coloring pages for the kids. Like, it's not weird to have kids there. You know, like, in my head, if you had, like, pitched this to me, I'd be like, is this, like, 18 and over? Or,
right?
like, you know? And it's so cool seeing, like, there's always kids in there on the weekends. They're all, like, just having a great time, whether they're watching Scooby-Doo or the Addams Family or whatever. And then, like, they're checking out the props, and you get that cool moment where you get to watch these, like, you know, 8 or 9, 10-year-olds, like, walk through the props. I love watching their faces more than anything else.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, when you see horror being born in somebody, it's so cool. Like, because they have that thing that I miss where you're like, you're scared, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And, man, like, we're all kind of at the age where when that happens, it's really fucking special now.
It is.
Because it's so few and far between.
It is.
And I love watching that. And I just want to thank you for having a place I can take my kid too.
So. Well, thank you. I mean, and that's actually really something I don't stress enough about Spookies, is that it's family oriented. I guess I have this assumption that everybody knows that at this point. But yeah, if you're just hearing it, it can sound kind of crazy. And it's not just horror. Like, we have stuff from Disney. You know, there's Beauty and the Beast pieces in there, and there's a whole case full of Star Wars items, and you know, and we do
for a while.
Yeah, and there's still a few Harry things, and we will be, by the way, doing a real solid Harry Potter display at some point with robes and wands and everything.
Sweet. I'll be all over that.
Yeah. So we try to keep the exhibits, because I mean, I have things that I have the human centipede in my collection, you know. So
I want to come to your house now,
right? You know,
it'll take 7 hours, man.
It's one of the fun pieces at a lot of shows. Like, you know, to being a nonprofit, we try to raise money in order to restore and preserve and keep these props looking good so that we can display them and bring them out. And one of the things we started doing at shows was photo op with a prop. So for small donations, and we never specify really an amount or anything. So it's what you're willing to give. You can hold certain things like maybe a Harry Potter wand or the Punisher's knife or some things like that. And one of the most fun and incredible things is we do the Human Centipede experience. And have you seen the third movie?
I have not.
Okay, I do not recommend it at all. The first one is to me a brilliant movie. The second one is and the third one is utter crap. But we have
basically in the same order as a Human Centipede.
Yeah, yes. So the premise of the third one is the warden loves the Human Centipede, and he decides the best way to take care of the prisoners is to chain them all together into a centipede of, I think it's like 300 some people long. So we have a couple of the harnesses and the prison uniforms. So they wear harnesses in the third one so that they can be removed if they're paroled, and easier than the full surgeries. So what we have are two mannequins dressed in the prison guards with the harnesses, and then a third harness at the end, and you get down on your hands and knees, and we put you into the harness, and you are part of the Human Centipede. And it's so fun. If you go onto the HSPPA Facebook and check out some of the event photos, you'll see some craziness. One of the Soska sisters partook. She got down when we were in New Jersey and did it, and just a whole bunch of people and things like that. Like I almost had one of the Backstreet Boys do it, and at the last second the handler's like, no. That would have been a dream. There was the tattoo guy. I don't know who he is, but
you're not tricking us like that. We're not naming boy band members.
I almost had you, man. But yeah, it's so there's I went on the Human Centipede rant there in order to say that there's no Human Centipede at Spookies. Right?
And here, I thought you were just like really trying to push to make that the episode the next time you come on the show.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. There's so much to say about the Human Centipede. But yeah, it's we try to keep the exhibits and stuff able, so that kids can enjoy it as well as cute. We are horror fans at heart, but you've seen it. It's fun. There's everything there right now. Wonder Woman's tiara and lasso are there, as well as the entire cast of Silent Hill.
Yep.
So, we have a wall of Silent Hills. Where can you say that? When I brought all that in, when I drove that in December, I drove through fog the entire way down the road.
I don't think people realize how far you had to bring this, so you should throw that in as well.
Well, from Chicago, so
yeah,
that's
how many hours was that trip?
If you drove straight through, it's like 26 hours.
Wow.
I'm old. I can't do those kind of drives anymore, so I'm a 2.5 day person. I got to stop and sleep, man. I also don't want to die with all that stuff. It's fun though when I do. There's a lot of speed traps going through there in Oklahoma, and there's a thrill to me in passing through Hooker, Oklahoma. I just because they don't lie. Like, it's welcome to Hooker. There's the Hooker Inn and the Hooker True Value, and it's direct advertising, and I respect that. But yeah, so I end up always getting pulled over for speeding because there's so many spots where it goes from like 75, 80 miles to 30 in 20 feet. And Yeah. I mean, and so far I've always gotten off, but one time I got stopped. I knew because I'd been drinking Red Bull, and that's all I've had all day is probably like 7 Red Bulls or something, and driving for 13 hours. So I know I'm like, my eyes are like, and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting searched or something, I'm on the drug corridor. I've got a U-Haul from Arizona and a trailer from Illinois. I'm getting, So I immediately tell the cop what I'm doing, and he's turns out to be a fan of like Resident Evil.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm like, oh, really? Well, I have the Axeman's axe. Do you want to see it? Like, we'll just open up the trailer and make this, so before they bring in everybody and dogs and everything. So, yeah, we open up the side of the trailer. There's the 10-foot axe covered in blood, and you just see his eyes light up. So I'm like, you want to see some more stuff? And they're like, yeah. So another cop shows up. I've got 2 cops on the side of the highway in Oklahoma at like 7 at night. Now imagine if you're passing me by, you see a U-Haul with a trailer and 2 squad cars, and there's a guy holding a giant snowman's head on the side of the highway. Just imagine that. Like, I wish I had pictures and stuff, but yeah. So, and that's Jack Frost, serial killer snowman that's at Spookies right now.
Yep.
But yeah, I did a show and tell with cops on the side of the road outside of Oklahoma City. And that happens like every time when these cops pull over. I'm like, I gotta tell you, I've got about 7 rubber machine guns in the back. They're used in Batman, so don't pull yours out, but when they're like, so what are you doing out here? And I'm like, well, I own a bakery and I've got a van full of movie props. But all you see are like blankets over mannequins, so it looks like there's dead bodies back there and various other weapons and tools and stuff. So I
feel like you can make your own movie off of this. I'd watch this.
It's amusing, and doing the HSPPA and everything I do is because I enjoy sharing it and showing it and talking about it. So as soon as that cop pulls me over, I'm like, it's game time. Let's do this. It's show and tell time. What do you want to see, man? So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Purposely speeding just to get pulled over?
Oh, no. God, no.
I know.
I mean, I am only because, you end up doing that. But, yeah, I'm definitely not. Because I also know what I look like and what I'm driving. The last thing I need is
No, Mr. Officer, that's not my weed. That's right? Jason's weed. And you do not want to touch that.
Full circle. Look at that.
So I think that brings us to a close. That's a great story to end this with. So thank you once again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And anybody coming out to Phoenix Fan Fusion, make sure you check these guys out. This bakery is legit, and I can't wait to see what kind of great props you have at the show and stuff. So it's going to be great.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. So until next time, as always, I am James Sabata.
And I am Don Guillory.
And we'll see you next week here on the Necronama.com.